Nothing. That's not ideal. Hear me out here. It's probably the most stupid idea ever, but I've got nothing happening here, so I'm gonna bridge straight from the battery to the starter motor to see if that does anything. Like I said, probably the worst idea ever, but we'll try it. Scared me, but I was not expecting that. Alright, so just reviewed that clip. I could see shaft moving, so bridging the starter motor to the battery is, engaging the engine. So now is the task ahead of figuring out why I'm getting no ignition with the starter. May have just found something. So basically where I've got the negative connection from the battery is just on the bolt for the starter motor there, which is on the engine casing, and then where I've got the earths for all the electronics is bolted to the frame. I can't get continuity between that connection there and the frame, so potentially it's not getting ground. So I'll try and reroute a few of these negatives and see if that works. Apart from the fact that I dropped a washer and I'm not sure where it went, hopefully not in the coolant up there, but we'll have a quick look for that, see if we can find it. Let's see if we've got continuity between the frame, the engine casing. That's much better. So now we've got negative between engine casing and frame. Fingers crossed again, everything's plugged back in. Negative's back on. I'm scared now. That's such a good feeling, that is, to have it kicking over without bridging it out. So now try and figure out, obviously it's got no fuel, maybe we'll chuck some fuel in, pull our hoses up. It's cranking, which is good. Now we just got to try and get that spark, try and get that ignition. Let's give that a go. Not really sure what we're going to get happen here, but plumbed up the lines, plugged the fuel sensor in, which in turn plugs the fuel pump in. I'm assuming this is the neutral indicator. So that's the safety on. Fuel pump kicking in. Fuel in, so fuel lights are on. Just blew a O-ring on this injector, so I'm not sure if that means it's blocked or what, but yeah, I think we'll give that a rest for a bit. Pretty sure I've seen 2, 3, 4 fire. Not sure whether I've seen the first one squirt, so might be able to watch it back and see, because obviously once that popped off it drenched that bit of cardboard, so I couldn't tell if there was 4 square patterns or not. Went and bought a 11/16 socket, spark plug out. I'm going to give it a go, see if we're getting spark. I am a little bit worried because the fuel has spilt quite a lot. Alright, we're getting spark, so we'll move on to the next thing. Got the exhaust on, it's only on loose, I'm just clutching the straws at the moment. Fuel pump fuse out, in case it flooded a bit earlier. Who knows? We might blow something up. Find out. Has to be timing. It's got to be timing. We've obviously had the cams out. Oh, other good news. Well, the only good news, because there is no other good news for it to be other good news, but I found the missing coolant, but the backfiring kinda leads to timing, I'm thinking, because you crank it, and after you stop cranking it, it backfires as if the ignition is happening too late, I think. Now, I'm pretty sure the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again without doing anything differently. So, here we go. Insanity. I have tested the temperature sensor, that's working good. Airflow sensor, which is reading what I've read it should do on the internet. Have found another one of these, it hasn't got anything written on it, so potentially that's an option to swap out, but I have also got some hose clamps, a little bit more oil. I'm going to chuck some more oil in there, it's just a little bit low on the sight glass. Some coolant, I'm going to put that radiator on, get some coolant on there, see if that's got anything to do with this thing not starting. So just to recap, check the water temperature sensor that was working back to the fuel injection control unit, so that wiring's all good. Check the air sensor back to the same airflow meter, back to the fuel injection unit, which is all good. And also I have got a thread repair kit. So for those couple of engine bolts that were stripped, I'm going to see if I can repair that thread. I don't know if that's got anything to do with maybe the compression, potentially. I'm not sure how crucial that head is. It's obviously got a gasket on there. I've got a 6mm. Alright, in my effort to try and get this thing running, I have come across a very handy troubleshooting guide, Crazy Frog, on one of the forums, K100. Goes through a whole bunch of nice little flowcharts, and then there's some parts on the coil. So even though I thought I'd check the spark, I thought I'd, pull these out and have a look anyway. Looks like I found an issue. So nothing on the secondary side of that coil, and this one has 0.9 of a meg ohm. Pretty sure buggered coil, leads are fine, assuming that's good. But what I did read was, even though you may see spark, it's not going to be enough to start it. We have some goodies. Hopefully this will help us start the bike. 4 new spark plugs, 4 new spark plug leads, new coil pack. So this is a new coil pack, a lot more slimline than the old ones. So this is the old coils, this is a new coil. Exhaust crush washers, which will torque up with new brass nuts. Nice little bracket for the coil pack, and then a new plug. New coil pack on, new spark plugs in, and so basically what we've got now is we'll use the blue and black, red and black, and then I can't remember this, the green and yellow or the brown. I'll check diagram in a second. And then, so this is the only info that you get, coil pack information. So it basically just tells you which cylinder plugs into where. I think I had 3 and 4 around the wrong way. I'll double check them again anyway before we go starting anything. So just a little rundown. New coil pack, new spark plug leads, new spark plugs, got the ignition wiring done, exhaust is done up with new crush washers and flange nuts. Double and triple check the spark plug wiring. This is the aftermath of the cable, so new crimps. Don't need the brown one anymore, just the green, yellow, black, blue, black, red. Alright, this is our current state of play. Don't be too shocked. And so, a little bit different to the last snippet, but it's basically couldn't get this thing started. New coil pack, new spark plugs, tried different fuel injection units, the works. Pulled spark plugs out, was getting spark on all of them, checked, triple checked timing. I had good fuel pressure. I had 0 compression, so it was a bit strange. I didn't really understand why I had 0 compression. So that's when I just bit the bullet. I was like, bugger it. I'm taking this head off. I need to see what's going on in here. Top dead center confirmed that, so timing is correct. And then, so I've got the head over here. Obviously put the cams back on, trying to check valve clearance. So this is the smallest shim I've got. It's 0.04 mil, feeler gauge, sorry. I can't get it under any lobe, none of them. Exhaust, intake, none of them. So you can see here, intake valves are really shiny. You know, the exhaust one's a bit pitted, but everything looks clean. The seats, I can't really fault them too much. Next mission is, so I tried to check the shims before I put them in. I've got a few markings out of a couple of them, but a lot of them were either put in upside down and worn. Yeah, you just couldn't read the markings, so gone out and bought a micrometer. Plan of attack is to take these cams back off, measure each shim. Potentially someone's put them in the wrong way, they haven't put them in the right order or where they got them from. currently is the shims are all out of whack. So what I think has happened, because this engine is pretty tidy, like this is pretty immaculate for an engine that's like 1983. I feel like what's happened here is someone's done a bit of work to it, whether it's you know, rebuild new pistons, whether they've done new valves or like lapped the valves, but in turn what they've done is they've altered the gap between the cam shims, the buckets. So there's no gap there, which obviously means the valves aren't sealing. So now that I've got the cams out, what I'm going to do is put a bit of fuel into intake on cylinder 4 here, and theoretically now the cams are out, this should hold the liquid in here. See there, it's not leaking. What I'll do now is I'll just tilt that up so it's essentially on all sides of the valve, and it's holding. So what I'll do is I'll just chuck this intake cam back on, and then I'll redo it, proving that these aren't seated. Let me put this cam back in and then we'll double check to prove my theory. Got the cam in, now it's not tight, so I'll go through and tighten it. Alright, so I'll torque it up now. Alright, so all bearings torqued up now. Go around. So that should be pretty close to all the way off the bucket. I'll just go back. Just got my feeler gauges here. So this is the smallest one I've got, and so that goes in there, right? That's not meant to happen. So that's not meant to happen when that cam's in that position. The plan is to, so I'll strip this again now, and then I'm going to, so I've got valve spring remover here, take each valve out, trim them what I need to get, minimum's 0.15, max 0.2, so yeah, I'll strip that, try and trim some of the stems. I'll do the intake first, put them back in, see if I can get that right. So I was getting no compression when I was doing the compression test on the bike. I was getting 0, and I just couldn't work out why. I thought maybe piston rings, but this is making sense. The valves are always open when the cam's in there, so that's why. Hopefully we can get the compression up, and then hopefully the bike will start. Hopefully.